Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jack. Welcome back. And as mentioned in my previous videos, I've been having a hard time rushing in this game up until recently, and it was only because there were a couple minor things that I wasn't doing. And I've been playing Call of Duty for years, and I've basically improved vastly since the day I started up until today. And I'm going to explain to you how to do better in this game, and I'm also going to explain to you a few things that I have learned that it made the biggest difference for me succeeding in this game and to always be that number one guy in the lobby leaderboards, whether it's in a team deathmatch or whether it's in an objective place game. It basically made the biggest load of difference as soon as I learned what I was doing wrong. And some of these things are very basic things, and some of these things are things that some people may have not thought of. But if you're a god tier player, and if you're like an excellent player, if you're one of those guys that is just like, you know, a grade A tier pub stomper, this video is not necessarily for you. This is for people that have been having a little bit of a hard time with this game, specifically if they're rushers, because that's what I am. I'm a rusher, and whenever I play the objective as well, I play the objective. I play to win. So since learning on how to do that correctly in this game, I figured I'd make this video to help some people out, because some people have been very frustrated, myself included in the beginning, as I've said before, frustrated to the point to where I wanted to pull my hair out, and I don't even have hair. I shaved my head. So without further ado, let's get into this, because there's a lot of things I want to go over. Now, bear with me on this, because some of these things are very basic and obvious, and some of these things may not be so obvious. So even if you get one good thing out of this that makes a difference for you, then so be it. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about really quick is use submachine guns. Submachine guns are the new assault rifles in this game. You get the bonus movement by being able to move around the map faster, so therefore you're able to move from cover to cover really quick and pick people off at different angles for where they're not expecting. And at the same time, there are different tastes of submachine guns in this game. There's some that are more catered to a little bit longer range. There's some that are catered to shorter range, and there's just basically overall balanced submachine guns. And they work better than assault rifles in this game, and I truly mean that. I've been using assault rifles for the majority of this game up until recently, and I basically just played like I always have played for the past few years, using submachine guns, and lo and behold, I'm playing like I always have been playing. And I stopped playing really crappy, simply because of the fact that I changed from using assault rifles to submachine guns. So assault rifles are like weak light machine guns in this game. Everything else, light machine guns, snipers, secondaries, submachine guns, shotguns, all of those are better than assault rifles with my personal experience, unless you're using the M8, A7, or the Shiva. Those are the only two exceptions, but you can't really rush too crazy with those, especially like you're seeing here in this gameplay. So, and by the way, I chose this gameplay because a lot of people hate this map. It's very big, and there's a lot of head glitches, obviously, just like all the other maps, and yet I'm using a submachine gun and I'm rushing effectively and playing the objective simultaneously. So alright, so that's number one, use SMGs. And if you haven't used SMGs that much, trust me when I tell you, give them a shot. You will love it, especially when you start unlocking attachments for them as well. Alright, now the second thing I want to talk about is know the spawns. Now, the first thing you want to do is, whenever you die, and it's going to happen, whenever you die, make a little note in your brain of where you respawned. Just try to remember where you died and where you spawned. And then one of the things you want to do is you want to look at your minimap. Now, wherever your team is, the enemy is going to be on the opposite side of that. So let's say your team is on the bottom left of the map. The enemy is going to be on the top right. Okay, so wherever there's a big space where you don't see anything on your minimap, chances are the enemy is there on the opposite side. Now, one other thing I want to tell you about the minimap. Now, this is one of those tips that really made a difference for me, is you can tell when somebody's flanking you by looking at one of the blue triangles, which is your teammates. And if one of those blue triangles disappears, chances are there's somebody flanking, and they probably got taken out. So you might want to focus your attention on that as well, so that way it doesn't happen to you. And one more thing about the minimap: glance at it, don't stare at it. Glance on it for like a second or two every 6 seconds or so as you're traveling, taking your rushing route, to see what goes on when somebody's not using a suppressed weapon or whatnot, or whatever happens. You always want to be aware. The minimap is your best friend, so use those tips and it will make a difference. Now, next tip, use wall running and swimming routes. When you wall run, you actually don't appear on the minimap. It's not like using the thruster, so you can definitely use it and be effective. And use that double jump at the last minute, just before they see you, and then just take them out. And what you can do is, usually the wall runs, they're like on the outer ends of the map, so it's a rusher's tool. So you can use it as long as you know the coast is clear, because it is risky if there's somebody there. But if there's nobody there, it's not a risk at all. So use the wall run and basically work your way around the side of the map, which will get you there quicker as well with the wall run. And once you get towards the center of the map, if you notice that people are like covering the center of the map, flank them from the side, take them out, and then continue on your rushing route. That's something that's very important. And also, rush with a purpose. And what I mean by this is go from cover to cover. Don't ever go in the middle of the map. And whenever you're trying to move from one place to another, if there's no cover in that specific area and you need to get to that specific area, make sure you're not being seen. Cover the walls, so that way there's no lines of sight between you and the enemy, especially if you know that they're there. That is extremely, extremely important, because if they don't see you, they're not going to fire at you. And if they have their aim down, if they have their sights aimed down, you can flank them that much easier, because they're only looking in one spot. They're not looking around all that much. That's one advantage you have as a rusher. So take full advantage and take them out. Now, the next thing which completely took me by surprise, even though I played the beta, it completely took me by surprise. And that is that sound whoring is incredibly strong. If you don't have a headset, I recommend you be a little cheesy and use 6th Sense, Tracker, and then Dead Silence. Dead Silence will help. It will keep you being heard from longer distances. When you're really close, you're going to be able to, if somebody has a headset, they're going to be able to hear you, especially if they use awareness. But it helps tremendously. It'll help you rush more. And then at the same time, if there's somebody, that had just ran past you, but you can't hear them because you don't have a headset on, or you don't have a headset period, you're going to be able to see them. If you turn around to go on your rushing route and they ran by you, you're going to be able to tell because they leave footprints, so you could definitely take advantage of that. So, and if you do have a headset, I highly recommend you run at least awareness, so that way you can put yourself on an even playing field with everybody else, and you can keep people from rushing or flanking you, because the spawns in this game, they don't flip very easily. From what I've noticed, somebody can get killed a few times off a spawn before they flip, and regardless of which game mode. So, you don't want that happening to you, and you don't want somebody flanking you. And because of the movements in this game, people can flank you if they decide to do so. So you don't want that happening. So I highly recommend you use either both Dead Silence and Awareness, or all of the perks that I've just mentioned, actually, and be super cheesy. But if you have Dead Silence and Awareness, if you have a headset, you really don't need anything else, in my opinion. All right, now the next thing I want to tell you is specialists. This is something very basic, but it might be something that you're not doing. A lot of people out there will basically be using just one specialist or two specialists. Don't do that. Use every single specialist that the game has to offer. They're all very effective. They're all good for different skill sets and for what you want to use it for, and they're very satisfying. Even though some are easier to use than others, whenever you do use them and you succeed, they're still very satisfying. Some of them are good for objective based. Some of them are good for just for slaying, or both. So get your feet wet and use every single one of them, and then figure out which one works for you, and then just use that one. And then when you get bored, you can go and use the other one. This keeps you volatile, because if you're a rusher, you're going to be volatile. You're going to be unpredictable. That is your goal, is to be unpredictable. And if you do it right, it's going to happen more often than not. So use the different specialists to your advantage, and use them at the right time, which, depending on which specialist you have, you will know. So for instance, you want to go, let's say you find yourself in enemy spawn, and if you have the vision pulse, turn that sucker on, so that way you can see people through walls, or if they're near you. And make sure you do like a 360 spin, so that way you can get a view of the entire map in case somebody's trying to flank, or in case somebody may be in an area where you may not be suspecting. It's a little tip there for that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Use every specialist. Trust me, you won't regret it. Next thing, score streaks. If you die a lot, use low-end score streaks, or even the ones that basically cater to your team. Or you can use 2 low score streaks and 1 high one, because if you get better, you're going to be able to get higher score streaks. So that's something that definitely helps, and definitely feels satisfying to get. And experiment. Just don't use score streaks that are beyond your reach. That's pretty much the simplicity of it. If you can't get a mothership, don't use a mothership, which I hear is useless and is not that useful in this game anyway. But don't go for wraps if you can't get wraps. Enough said. So, and then as you get better, you can use more and more combinations, and that's the beauty of it. So that's it. The last thing I want to tell you is, you want to have a sense of mentality that, okay, I died, but what can I do to get better? And have a mentality of play to win. Forget about your KD. A lot of people just focus too much on their KD, and in the long run, it actually makes them way worse than better. I mean, besides, if you care about your KD all that much, what is a good KD without a good score per minute, really? I know that there's people out there who don't care. All they care about is that KD. Well, you always want to play to win. That is the objective of the game, and have a positive mentality going into the game, as in, okay, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to play for the win, and I'm going to try to learn something. So if I made a mistake, so that way I don't make it again. Always play to win. Do not play for KD. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got. I hope this helps you out. This is catered towards people that are new or people that have been here for a while that just they're not sure what they're doing wrong. But I really hope this helped you guys out. If you like the video, let me know. And if you don't, let me know what I can do to make my videos better. I'll catch you guys later.